Hi everyone, welcome to a Christmas special of the Escapement Show. And we've got the Watch Apprentice joining us. We've got JCB, my good friend, and a very special guest. We've got Curtis Arndt. Now, I'm just going to drop in the comments his collector's conversation. Oh, so I've lost my I've lost the comments there. His collector's conversation with Tim Mosso that he did. That was 8 months ago, I believe. Now, Curtis.
Yeah, 8 months, I believe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's got a fascinating story. I don't want to try and go over too much, copy Tim's format too much, but we're going to look at your watches. But we've got Bill trolling us, running late, Thomas. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. We were just chatting backstage. But we're finally here, Bill. So you can enjoy it. We've got Curtis is up at 3:30 in the morning in San Diego, joining us.
It is 3:36.
That's commitment, Curtis.
Yeah, 03:36.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us. Hi to Junior John.
Great to
see you. And yeah, anyone else who's checking us out. Great to see you. The Watch Apprentice. What a suit, what an outfit you've got on. You're very Christmas themed for the show today. That's great.
This is not Christmas. This is not for Christmas, Thomas. I'll do this every day. I dress like this every day.
I just thought we'd take a bit of a break. We don't have a particular topic today. We just had a laid back format, just a bit of a watch chat, and but I thought we'd start off by talking about watches that any watches we bought this year or thinking about buying next year. And Russell, great to see you, my friend. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Same to you, my friend. Yeah.
Hi, Russell.
Great to see you. So, any watches, guys? Any new watches? I think the Watch Apprentice has got a nice one he's got to show.
Yeah. And, I just got my GMT.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, I've had it a few weeks, so that's
so that's a two-tone GMT.
Put that
116 713 LN. Sorry, JCB. Sorry.
Let's see that again, mate. Put it up to the camera. Let's have a good look at it. So, what do we got here? This is like yeah, like it's the latest model two-tone GMT.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's really nice. So cool. So cool.
Yeah, beautiful.
Congrats.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Is that your first sports Rolex? Because I know you got like a couple of a Datejust or two.
Yeah, I've got a Datejust. Yeah, I've got a IWC 41 Pilot and a Cartier. Yeah, but this is my first. Cool. That's my sports watch. Yeah.
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 Well, that fits in nicely with that collection. That's really cool. Yeah, great.
Thank you.
And Tarot Destroyer, welcome. Welcome from Lakeland, Florida. Good to see you. And yeah, so JCB, you had any pickups?
Yeah, you know what? I picked up the first watch that I picked up in about 2 years. I was on a real watch diet because I blew all my money that I had a couple of years ago on a GMT as well, which I was wearing I was wearing on the last show. So I blew all my savings on that one. But I'll show you what. So I've got I actually brought my I brought my watch box down, so you can see here what you guys know I'm into chronographs, so I've got a bit of a chronograph collection going on. So I've got this is my mid-tier sort of Swiss chronograph collection at the bottom. So I've got the El Primero, the Breitling B01 caliber. I've got a Speedy as well. This is an interesting Speedy. Maybe we can talk about this one a bit later because I know we've got some Speedy fans. Curtis, I think you're wearing a Speedy, so we can have a look at this one. But I've got another chronograph over here, and it's a Swiss chronograph. Any ideas? Any guesses you want to take?
Oh, go!
Oh boy!
Oh, is it going to be a chronograph? Give us a guess.
You can see the strap. Is it a Monaco maybe?
It's a
long
racing.
jeans, big eye.
It's a racing strap. It's a racing strap. It's going to be a chronograph if it's got a racing strap, I guess.
It's not made in Japan, is it? It's not a.
Maybe it could close to Japan. I reckon.
Seiko.
No. I got the moon swatch.
Oh.
Look at that. There you go. So that's the this is the one I picked up. I figured I'd get the one that was the least toy looking one out of all the moon swatches.
Yeah.
And this dark gray one is pretty cool, I thought. So, and the first thing I did was get rid of that garbage bloody strap that it comes on, which is an absolute joke. And I put it on this racing strap. I think it came out pretty cool. It's not too bad.
Looks funky.
So,
probably costs more than the watch does.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, so I've added to my Swiss chronograph collection at the bottom there. So that was my pickup.
Nice, like it. Yeah, well,
that's my 41 Pilot.
So beautiful. That's a blue one.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, an IWC, nice.
Yeah,
blue, beautiful.
Very
beautiful.
Nice. Yeah.
Is that a new one? Is that a new one?
No, last year, Thomas. Yeah.
Right. That's
last
lovely. Beautiful.
Yeah, 41 Pilot.
I went a bit crazy on watches this year. I've got I bought myself a Zenith El Primero. I know the ID guy got one, and he told me that they were going for such cheap prices, secondary. And I looked out for one, and I bought the Zenith A384. Put it on a white python skin strap.
I'm so glad both of you guys got that watch this year because I've been singing this watch's praises for so long, and to see two of my best buddies pick up the watch, it's just so cool. It's so cool.
Really is nice. It's beauty. Another one was by a micro brand or an independent brand owned by an Irish friend of mine called Siderius. And that's a Siderius Noth on a Magon tweed strap.
Funky.
Really nice. It's modeled after the case shape is modeled after an Irish Neolithic monument called Newgrange, which tells the time by the sun, a bit like Stonehenge. But yeah, that's another one I got. I also won the raffle I didn't win the raffle. I entered the raffle to get an MB&F Mad 1. And because I hadn't won the raffle,
did it come already?
No. This is another one. Because I hadn't won the raffle, we got emails saying that because you'd not won the raffle 3 times, you get entered into. You got the option to buy a Lucky Clover one, which is a green one with a 4-leaf clover on the dial. on the crown. Sorry, so 4-leaf
Crown,
cobra
yeah.
crown. Yeah.
Crown, yeah.
So I've got that coming in the middle of 2022, but I also treated myself to
The spaghetti scametti. Oh man, that's
Yeah.
hilarious. Weren't they on sale for like $10 or something?
this was £25.
20
Oh,
bucks.
wow.
Spaghetti Scametti icon.
Is it a turbulon?
Value for money. Yeah, you're getting value there.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice green dial.
Looks like white gold.
All jokes aside, the design is not bad.
It reminds me of the 12.
It's a homage to it's a icon. It's better than 12.
Yeah.
Steel can scratch your skin.
That's going to be worth a lot in 10 years.
It's a beauty. Yeah. So they have 4 pickups this year. Of course the MB&F Mad one hasn't arrived yet, but they're my
So
4.
When do you reckon they'll be sort of hitting the like getting around to people around mid-year? Do you reckon, or earlier?
I reckon it'll be mid-June or something like that, probably. Have you had any pickups this year, Curtis?
I'm going to be the party pooper here. I haven't bought a new watch since 2021. Okay. And you're probably not going to be able to see this with the glare on my camera, but it's my Parmigiani Fleurier Tonda.
Oh, God, I love that.
1950. And this was my last watch purchase in probably the fall of 21. Got a great deal on it. I'd been looking for 2 years for a precious metal dress watch. I'd narrowed the search down from 30 watches to 4 watches. And then it came down to price and availability. And this came up from a dealer in the East Coast. So love this watch. But no, that's my last one for 2 years. Don't know. I'm not really in the search for another watch right now. I have enough time wearing the 12 to 14 watches I have on a regular basis. And I'm just enjoying what I have.
Yeah.
So
that's a good place to be in. That's a really good place to be in when you've got a nice collection. You can enjoy it. You're not thinking about the usual collector bullshit that we go through. Oh, what am I going to get next? And blah, blah, blah. You're just enjoying what you got. It's like the Zen. It's like the watch collector Zen sort of zone.
Yeah, but I'm like you, JCB. My budget has been spent on this, so I'll have to start a new budget for next year. So
Yeah.
I just say I didn't want to copy Tim Mosso's interview format too much, but I just wanted to go through some of your watches, Curtis. You say you started off with this Seiko
Turtle
6903.
No. I started out going back. How I got into watches was my dad had a gold rectangular Longines watch that my mom gave him probably when they were married in 54. And that was his watch. And I can remember hearing stories about it. He actually at one time lost the watch while fishing. He was trout fishing in a stream, lost the watch, was absolutely distraught, went back that night with a flashlight. And it's a little rocky babbling brook deep in the woods by my grandfather's place. And he actually found the watch in the water, I believe in the water.
Right.
And had it repaired. And when he passed, we never did find the watch. We don't know what happened to the watch. I don't even know what model it was. I've gone online. I spent hours online looking and trying to remember. And I have a pretty good memory. Vintage Longines from the 50s and 40s, but haven't been able to recollect exactly what it was. So anyway, I first got into mechanical watches probably in the 70s and was in high school in 69 through 73 and got into mechanical watches. And I think my first watch that I can remember is my Seiko, and it was a 8-digit reference number, early Seikos, non-hacking, non-manual wind, kind of an integrated bracelet watch. My son, I'll see if I can pull up a picture of it. My son still has that watch. It's never been serviced. The damn thing still runs. I'll try to get a reference number for you guys. And I'm going to talk to my son about who has quite a nice little Seiko collection. In fact, I just ordered him. He's paying for it, but I ordered him the new 62 Moss, the 093.
All right, yeah.
Through a jeweler here in San Francisco, and that's the third batch of the 1965 watches of the last version of the 62 Moss, a 38 millimeter one. So he should be getting that here in a week or two.
Well, another Seiko that you had in the past or still got is the pulse timer.
Pulse meter. Yeah. It's the green.
Yeah.
It's the green pulse meter. I had misplaced that Seiko I had in college and early in the Marine Corps. Couldn't find it. It ended up being my parents' place, and I needed a watch. And I was at the military exchange in Okinawa, Japan, and the Seiko pulse meter was there. And what was cool about it was they came in two colors, as I remember, black and like an OD green. And wearing flight suits and camouflage utilities all the time, the green just matched perfect. It was a cool looking watch, a little accent of yellow on it. I don't know if you can pull up the screenshot I sent you of my collection, but maybe we can look at it that way. But anyway, it turns out this was the watch worn by the Colonial Marines in the movie Aliens, the sequel to Alien.
Right. Okay.
So they wore this watch, and I had it in 82 when I was in Okinawa, and then I came home and I went back to Okinawa in 83, and I misplaced the watch. It was in my room at the BOQ, Bachelor Officers Quarters, and I knew it was there because once a day I would hear it beep. I never could find the bloody thing. Even after I cleaned the room, when I left, I couldn't find it. Well, so anyway, that watch was with me for a year. But when I bought that watch, I bought two others. I gave the two others to my two brothers. So I bought two green ones and a black one, gave a green and a black one to each of my brothers. And my brother in New York, we're both in New York. My one brother, Keith, has the black one still. He's kind of a little bit of a watch collector. And then my other brother, Chris, had a green one. And of course, the battery died, but he got it wet. And there's a little steel pusher on the side of it, and it corroded, and you couldn't adjust the watch. You changed the battery, nothing would work. So when my dad passed away in 2018, we're cleaning the house. I find my brother's a bunch of his old watches, a knockoff day date and this Seiko pulse meter. And he said, "Oh, it doesn't work anymore. Just throw it away." And I'm like, "No, I want to keep it." So I took it down to my, I've got a little watchmaker here locally, a little old Vietnamese man who's a really cool little old guy. And I tell you what, you bring your watch in and it's like, I'll change the battery, $10. I'll do this. I'll adjust your bracelet. It's not worth me doing a lot of this stuff because I have him and I want to support his business. So he takes a look at the watch, starts working on it right there at his little desk. He's got a little old wooden, like a school desk there. And I see him with a little rat tail file, and he's got it apart, and he's cleaning things out. So 20 minutes later, he asked me for $20, and he just looks at me and goes, "Rusted, no get wet." So $20 and 20 minutes later, and the thing was running like a champ. So that's back in my collection now. It's not the original one I had. So
this is your main watch. You say you're a one watch guy, and that's the question. that's a question you wanted to talk about. Could we be one watch? This was your watch for 30 years.
Yeah, 30 plus years. Yeah.
You wanted to ask us, could we be one watch guys? And so
no, you cannot. None of you could be watch guys. I'm telling you that right now. And I tell collectors that all the time.
No.
Once you've fallen down the rabbit hole, there is no going back. I don't care who you are. Okay. Even if you're homeless, sitting at the fire barrel with all the other homeless people, you will probably have saved one good watch or two and be showing them off to all the other homeless watch collectors.
That's a question. Could you Could you be a one watch person?
I thought that, Thomas. I thought that when I first joined this watch world, this enthusiast, this disease. I thought that I could always just have one watch, and I purchased a Cartier Santos when I was 60 back in the day, and I thought, oh, that'd be my one and done. Then I joined and learned the streams, got on these streams, and then it became a disease. And then you look for another watch, and then at the moment I've got a four watch collection, and I'm saying now that's it. But once my fund grows again, what next am I looking for? And I've also written down a couple of watches that I'm looking at. Once my fund, so it's never ending. I always thought I'd be a one watch person, but I don't think it's going to happen. No. Well, it certainly hasn't. I've got 4 now. So
yeah. Well, what are you, JCB?
No, no way. No, not a chance in hell. Curtis is right. Like it's just not going to happen. Like, I mean, we live and breathe watches. This is what we do. We think about them. We're looking at them all the time. You know, it's just always like, what's the next watch? What's the next one going to be? And even when you're happy and you're in that zen sort of zone and you're enjoying your pieces, you can go, like this has happened to me, right? I'm like you, watch apprentice. I've got sort of pretty much a 4 watch core collection, right? And that's a great number, right? But I went to an AD and I was just playing around with watches, and I put on a Speedmaster, the new one, the new Sapphire Sandwich, and it was like a lightning bolt. It just hit me like, I have to have this watch, you know. And ever since then, that's what I'm doing. So I'm building up the watch fund to get that watch. So, you know, even when you're content and you think that 3 or 4 watches is fine, something can just come along out of the blue and just, you know, upset the apple cart. So there's no fucking hope. There's no chance for us.
So what we're doing basically is waiting for that next wow factor, aren't we? You know, we're waiting to see that for that one watch to go, boom, that I've got to have it, you know, and it will come along. It will come along. Someone will bring out a watch, you know, for you know, all the chat that are watching, and it will just say, well, I've got to have it. Like you, Thomas, with the Mad One, you know. How long have you been wishing you?
The problem is, like, there's so many watches that can do that. Like, you know, I've tried on, you know, Langers and stuff like that, and I just want them all as well. Like, there's so many.
I mean, you've got a new GMT watch apprentice.
Yeah.
You've got the Batgirl JCB, and I was saying earlier on, are there any watches we're thinking about buying next year? I've been on the list for an Explorer 2 for ages, so that would be my GMT. And Curtis, you had a question, the definition of a GMT with regards to true or traveler GMT or officer's collar watch. What is the definition?
Let me go back to collection. I have a couple pet peeves on this whole, you know, I'm a bit of a wordsmith, words mean things, and all that. And there's no such thing as a one watch collection. A collection is, and the accepted definition is 3 or more curated items. So 1 watch is a watch, 2 watches is a pair, and it's at 3 watches. Once again, if you have them in a little watch box or whatever, you curated them, and it's like, okay, I'm collecting watches now, that you actually are a collector. So by 1 watch for 30 plus years, I can tell you, you know, with the 2 of you guys with GMT Masters, it is, in my opinion, the perfect 1 watch. I was an international pilot for decades. It's a great watch. My GMT Master 1 16750, I wore 24/7 365 for 22 years. Okay. It never came off my wrist. A lot of reason was I was deployed overseas, living in tents and all that. You dare not take your watch off, or fear some local kid would sneak into the tent at night and steal it off your, the side of your rack or whatever. So people have argued with me, you can't shower with a watch. Well, this has been in the shower every day for 22 years. I can tell you what, if you watch the interview and see my watch, even Tim remarked, he goes, Kurt, if you told me this watch stayed in a watch box for 40 years, I'd believe you. It looks great. And I'm like, well, because I take care of what I own. So it's been serviced 4 times in 40 years. The best, my watch guy is Bo and Eric at LA Watchworks. They are master case refinishers and all that. I've never really had my case refinished by them, just a light touch up. But even when they did my last service, he goes, Kurt, the watch looks good. I'm just going to do a light little touch up on and make it look crisp, and it does. So, I've got the hollow end links, hollow center links, jingly jangly bracelet, you name it. And like I said, the best way is to kind of watch the video, the collector conversation, but you get some good shots of my watch. And I really didn't have any desire to get another watch, other than every time I go into a jewelry store, I'd look at a Speedmaster and go, wow, that's a cool watch. But at the time, married with a kid, struggling aviation career, the price was between $1,500 and $2,000. And I'm like, I can't afford that. So
Curtis, what was it in 2018? I think you mentioned was the year when you went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Like what was the precipitating factor for going down the rabbit hole? Like what was it that made you go down there?
Good question. I had taken my GMT Master in to be serviced.
Mm.
And at the time I wasn't using Bo and Eric up in Pasadena. I was using an old time watchmaker here in San Diego where I live, and I brought my GMT Master in, and he's a really nice guy, but a little naive when it comes to collection. In fact, he showed me his original not Hulk, but his original Kermit from back in the day, new in the box. And he goes, oh, this is cool. What do you think this is worth, Curtis? I said, I don't know. I'm not into watches and all that. So when I dropped the watch off, he said, well, we need to insure it, and let's put a agreed value on it. And he said, what do you think? I said, well, does $4,000 sound about right? He goes, yeah, that sounds about right for the watch, $4,000. So I dropped it off, and just on a lark, I went online and I started researching one pilot-owned GMT Master 16750s from the early 80s. And I started seeing prices of $9,000, $10,000, $11,000, $12,000, $14,000, $16,000. I called him back and said, remember that $4,000? Put a 1 in front of it.
Yeah.
He goes, what? He goes, yeah, I'm seeing these, similar to mine, full set, box papers, everything, receipts, hang tags, going for $12,000, $13,000, $14,000, $15,000 all day long on eBay. So that's what got me down. So from there, I just got on YouTube, and I probably first started following Tim Mosso, and then TGV, and then Watchfinder. And Watchfinder was pretty much the big one. I just loved those videos, and every time I hear those old videos and that music he plays in the background, it just brings me back to that first year in 18 and 19 when I kind of went down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, wow, there's a whole world of people that actually collect these things. And here I've had this one watch. So, I was at the point, where I'm like, maybe it's time to get that Speedmaster I've always wanted. So.
Okay.
Yeah, Dodger's saying he likes the Sapphire sandwich. You must try that on.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of my quick and dirty watch journey as far as being a one watch and satisfied one watch guy. I really had no desire. I look at it this way. I tell people all the time, look at my hero, Philippe Dufour. What does he own? Personal watches. Okay. He's got a datograph, and he's got a GMT Master. So if the icon Mr. Dufour can have a GMT Master, it's a cool watch. I guess I'm ahead of my time.
Yeah.
But you're asking about the definition of a GMT.
Okay. So
world traveler.
So I keep hearing this thing, and what really actually pissed me off was when people said, "Well, the GMT Master 2 is a true GMT, and a watch like mine is not a true or traveler GMT. It's a caller or office GMT." And I'm like, I remember screaming at the TV screen, "You blithering freaking idiot." Okay. I'm not only an international airline pilot, I am a professional world traveler. Okay. When they developed the Glycine Airman and the Pepsi GMT, they didn't ask CEOs or the passengers in the back. Who did they ask?
Pilots.
Pilots are the only true professional world travelers out there. We get paid to travel. And so this GMT Master's been around the world a dozen times with me. Okay. It's not a, quick hour set. It doesn't matter. I can actually do math. I have a dual time. Okay. I know that when I'm in London, I'm 8 hours ahead. And when I'm in Melbourne or Sydney, I'm 16 hours ahead, depending upon the time zones. Okay. So I can actually use a dual time watch with a 12-hour on there. So this GMT Master is great. So who's calling it a true GMT? Some 20-something in his mommy's basement reviewing GMT watches who hasn't been on an airplane. And, I mean, I fly more in 1 month than most people on YouTube talking about true GMTs have ever flown in their life. I mean, I would literally be in Australia 2-3 times a month, in London 2-3 times a month, in Sao Paulo, Brazil, in Tokyo. It's gotten to be the lexicon of, true or traveler GMT and a quick hour set. I said, all my buddies that are airline pilots and we own GMTs, we don't change our watches to local time.
Well, I got a bit from a Fratello article, which I'll just post in the comments.
Yeah.
I'll just read it out. It says, a caller GMT features a GMT hand that can be independently set. If you change the main time, the GMT hand rotates, as well, albeit at a half pace. This has implications for how you use the watch. You set your local time on the main handset, and you set the GMT to whatever other time zone you want to track. It is called a caller or office GMT because it works perfectly if you have business contacts abroad. Without affecting your local time, you can adjust the GMT hand to different time zone, so it's perfect for working from the office or people calling, hence the name office or caller GMT. Now, a flyer or traveler GMT is the exact opposite. One crown position sets the local hand time and the GMT hand simultaneously, the GMT hand at half pace, and the other crown position sets the local hour hand separately. In this case, you set the GMT hand on your home time, and when you hop on a plane to a different time zone, you can easily jump the local hour hand to your target time without affecting home time or mini hand. And that's why it's referred to as a flyer or traveler GMT. Now, many refer to traveler or flyer GMTs as true GMTs because in their eyes, it was developed for pilots. And that's not entirely true. Historically speaking, the Rolex GMT Master Reference 6452, released in 1954, was the first to wear the GMT badge. It did not, however, feature an independently adjustable 12-hour hand, and the 24-hour hand was terminally synchronized to the 12-hour hand. Therefore, to read the time in different time zones, pilots would have to adjust the rotating bezel. It wasn't until 29 years later when the first GMT Master 2 reference 16760, the Fat Lady, debuted in 1983, that the movement featured an independent 12-hour hand, and this newly adjustable hand provided functionality for pilots and travelers. The GMT Master reference 16700, was then discontinued altogether in 1999. However, if true GMT means the first or original approach, then historically speaking, it's a misnomer, meaning incorrectly or which will unsuitably.
That's a great point. That's a great. That's a
Yeah.
Fratello article.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to
So
have to
in-
read that one. A little history here. The reason I love the 16750, if you're a GMT collector, other than the 6542, which is impossible to find and bloody expensive, okay, the 1675 is probably the most collectible watch out there because it ran from like 1960 to 1980, a 20-year run.
Yeah.
And it was a non-in-house movement, acrylic crystal, hollow end link, 316L steel watch. When initially for the first 10 years didn't even have hacking seconds. Okay, 3 hertz, 50 meters water resistance. Okay, in 1980 they upgraded the 1675 to the 16750, and this is where it's a brilliant watch. It went from 50 to 100 meters water resistance. Okay, it went to 4 hertz movement, and it went to quick set date, which it didn't have. And by that time, the other watches had hacking seconds, but quick set date. So my 16750, even though it's a GMT Master 1 without the quick hour set, has a quick set date. Your GMT Masters 2s don't have a quick set date. Okay. And to me, that's more important, having the quick set date, than having the hour hand to set, because like I said, I don't move the bloody thing when I get to London or I get to Hong Kong or Melbourne or Sydney or Tokyo. I don't move it. I just see that that's my local time. I've got the time on the GMT bezel for Sydney or London time. And then I know to add or subtract 16 or 8 or whatever I need to do in my head. Okay. We actually learned math back in my day, not like the modern American school system. I don't know what they're teaching, but so,
but basically,
I don't even bother setting. Here's a story. When my watch got so bloody expensive, I actually had it appraised after my last service, and it appraised for over $20,000.
Wow.
Okay, because it's full set, it's in gorgeous shape, and I decided that this is a watch that's been with me for most of my life experiences. The nice thing about being a watch collector is you don't have to beat up your watch. And I took care of mine, and I've had it serviced. It's been polished. And I have nothing, I have no qualms with polishing a watch if you take it to an expert. And like I said, I have an expert. So what I replaced it with as my daily was I discovered the Glycine Airman, which I really wasn't on my radar. And I did the deep dive into it.
I'm going to get to that in a minute. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I just want to say, in summary, a flyer, traveler, or true GMT allows one to independently set the local 12-hour hand, and a caller or office GMT allows one to independently set the 12-hour hand. Back when early GMT masters had the enslaved 12-hour hand, the bezel was used to track 2 time zones, and these days, thanks to independently adjustable bezel, can be used to track a 3rd time zone.
Yes.
So I'll just get off this and skip on to what you were just talking about.
Well, Thomas, you mentioned that you wanted to get an Explorer too, right? You're on the list. Understand, back in the day, the 1655 Explorer, that has the same movement as my 16750. It just doesn't have a rotating bezel. Because it doesn't have a rotating bezel, all you get is a 12-hour and a 24-hour time. Okay. So it became a GMT watch when they came out with the GMT Master 2, put that new movement in to where you can quick set the hour. It only shows 2 time zones, whereas the GMT Master can show 3 if you move the bezel for the 3rd time zone.
Now we go on to, oops, that's the wrong one. I'll just get off that. And let's see if I can pull up the right watch. Here we go. So the Glycine Airman you said you had.
Yes.
Now, that will have been one of the original ones, like...
No, I did a lot of research. The original Glycine Airman only had a 24. It was a 3-hander with a 24-hour hand only.
That
the
one.
Original. Early on, probably late 50s, early 60s.
So this
they produced some 4-handers.
This is the original Glycine Airman, which came out a year before the GMT Master in 1953.
Yes.
And showed 2 time zones simultaneously.
Yes.
The 24-hour dial displayed the main time, and the rotating 24-hour bezel showed the second time zone.
Yeah.
If you want
take a close look at this one, okay? So you can see the hour hand is on 20, so 20:08 there.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's 8 minutes after 8 p.m. on your main dial, and of course the rotating dial also shows 20. That's the one you can rotate. Yeah. And for people who are confused, look at the tail of the hour hand is pointing toward the 8.
I was just going to point out,
who are not in the military or do not use 24-hour time. My wife, being a Marine wife, it took her years to figure out the 24-hour.
I was just going to point out, if you wanted to read the main time using 24-hour scale, you could use this tail on the hour hand.
It's pointing at 8, so it's at 20 is actually 8.
Glycine introduced in 1957, so you could use this tail to read a 3rd time zone if it was 12 hours apart from the main time, or you could read the main time.
Yes.
Now, the 4-handed version, which you've got, which is a pre-Invicta.
Yes.
It's
a base 22 model. If you can pull up the picture of an Airman base 22, that one's good. So let's take a look at this one.
So this 400 version is a caller GMT, allowing you to set the GMT hand independently and effectively, though you can track 4 time zones with this watch.
No, I don't agree with the 4. 3. Now take a look. Okay, so you've got once again 8 minutes after 10 p.m. on the main dial. Okay, so you see the hour hand is a 12-hour hand on this watch. Then you see the small thin hand down at the 5 o'clock position. Okay, it's showing it's 10 a.m. there. Okay,
yeah,
and then on the outer bezel you can set that, and you can show the 3rd time zone. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I got my Glycine Airman, I've got LA time on it, and I set London time on the GMT hand on the inner dial, and I set either Sydney or Hong Kong or Tokyo time on the outer bezel. So without moving the bezel, I haven't changed my Glycine Airman in 3 years since I retired, because I still have friends in Sydney and I still have friends in London. So there's no need to change. I have my home time, I've got my Sydney time, and I've got my London time, and I got a quick hour set. I mean, a quick date set. I have a quick date set on it. So there is no need for me to even rotate that bezel or do anything unless I want to check a 3rd time zone, say, I have a friend in the Middle East or in Russia or whatever. I can do that. But that's the beauty of this watch. It shows 3 time zones concurrently, whereas the GMT Master 2, you have to rotate the bezel to get the 3rd time zone. You don't have to do that. You have to rotate the bezel once you set it, but once you set it, you can simultaneous, and it just takes a little bit of, looking at the dial. This is confusing to a lot of people.
Like the Fratello article pointed out, if you're in somewhere 12 hours apart, if you're in Honolulu and you're on a time in Helsinki, you could use the tail to tell that time as well.
Yeah, if it's 12 hours, you can use a tail to tell if it's 12 hours apart. But I can see the point there, but how often does that happen? Not that often, but realistically, it's a solid 3 time zone watch. 4 if you just want to see what's 12 hours different. Well, just add or subtract 12. I mean, once again, it's simple math.
So
I
I'll
don't think
I'll quickly skip through some of your other watches. We've got the Moon watch, which you wear on a leather strap.
Yeah, I got a new strap for that. I've been dealing with a guy in Munich, Germany, John Glantz of Dangerous Nine Straps, and this is my second ostrich leg skin strap from them in green on my Speedy, and so I really like nice leather straps on watches, but I pretty much wear them in the wintertime, not in the hot summer. I'll switch to a NATO or a bracelet in the summer.
Can you show that? Can you show that strap again, Curtis? Sorry, full
Let me see if
screen.
I get a better shot of it here.
Yeah.
I have a black one on my Sky Dweller. Let's see if we can get a good shot of this here.
That's it. Thank you.
Beautiful. This ostrich skin is the leg skin is much different than the rest of the hide. The rest of the most ostrich, you see it looks like little dots, pimples on it.
Yeah.
This looks almost like a lizard. There's a good shot of the back.
Yeah, I've got a few ostrich legs. They're really nice. Really nice
beautiful
pattern.
straps. They are beautiful. And John is out of Munich. He's gotten to be a good friend. He's a former Californian married to a woman from Germany. He lives in Germany, and he hand makes every one of these. He's not cheap, but I just like dealing with small independent guys, and I'm sure there's plenty of good independents out there. But he's my guy now, and so I support him, and he makes nice stuff. So
another watch you got an ostrich leather strap on, I believe, is your Sky Dweller.
Yes. So, yeah, that's a good story. So, going back to my GMT Pepsi, here I am in Okinawa in '83 looking for a watch. And at the time, 20% of the guys in my squadron, we all dove. We all got dive trained in the Marine Corps. So they all had Submariners. And the guys were telling me, he goes, Kurt, Rolexes are expensive. It's like, back then it was like $900 for a sub or a GMT, which was a lot of money in '83.
That's amazing, isn't it?
And
$900.
And they go, listen, you can get it at the exchange in Japan for maybe $100 off, maybe $200, but they don't give that good of a discount. But the British military exchange at the China Fleet Club in Hong Kong sells to the military only, and they sell Rolex for half price, 50% of retail.
What?
So I'm like, wow, that is the deal of the century. Everybody says, yeah, that's the only place to get a Rolex is go to Hong Kong. So here I am. It's Christmas of '83. My commanding officer says, Kurt, you and your buddy Gene, my good friend Gene McCarthy, you both have like 60 days of leave on the books. You need to take leave now or you're going to lose it and I'll look bad. So you guys go away. I don't care if you stay in your room, you stay local, you go travel someplace. So we both signed up for a Christmas tour of Hong Kong with the Air Force. Kadena Air Force Base Wives Club had a 2-week trip to Hong Kong. So we both decided to go to Hong Kong. I said, this is perfect. So I get to Hong Kong. I meet up with a couple more Marines, and we do all the Hong Kong. Back then, Hong Kong was the place to shop. It was cheap. You could have a suit made. Buddy of mine bought a small Cougar and had an 18-karat gold ring made in 2 days, custom made. Okay, by a local jeweler. It was an amazing place. So I go down to the China Fleet Club. I walk in, and at the time, I was just enamored with the sub, but I also loved the Daytona. Well, I quickly found, a 62, 63, or whatever the reference was back then was a 36 millimeter. I have 7 3/4-inch wrists and giant hands. I got a finger spread of almost 11 inches. And it just looked tiny, and it was hand winding. Okay. And so I decided, no, I need a waterproof watch. I'm getting dive trained. So I looked at the subs. They're great.
But you're regretting that decision now.
Yeah, well, not really.
Yeah.
I would have probably gotten a 55, 13, or maybe a 6. I don't know if the 1680 or 16800.
6263.
But I said to the gal, I said, doesn't Rolex make a pilot's watch? I'm more of a pilot than I am a diver. And she goes, yeah, of course we do. And she pulled out the Pepsi GMT. Well, once I saw that red and blue bezel, the Submariner was like, no, I don't know. This is cool. And so I bought it on the spot. Now, half of $900 is $450, but they were having a Christmas sale, 10% off all Far East exchanges for American, British, you name it. So on top of, what's 10% of $450 is $405 out the door, no tax in Hong Kong.
Jesus
for my brand new Pepsi GMT. It was such a good price. Now that was still a lot of money for a young Marine captain. Okay. I went back the next day and I said, I actually thought about getting both the sub and the Daytona, but I was more worried about customs going back in Japan, which was not a worry. They don't check anything, but I could have gotten all three watches for right around $1,500.
Well, you actually ended up.
I know. I see JCB there with his hand in his hands.
It's all relevant, though, isn't it? It's all relevant, isn't it? It's
relative. And it's all hindsight as well. We're sitting here with hindsight, like shaking our heads. But at the time, you're like, I don't want a Daytona. That's just how it was. Yeah.
No. And I said, I don't need one. I actually thought if I bought the Daytona, it would just sit in my watch box or my little safe at home, and I'd pull it out on special occasions. Well, how much would that be worth now?
Yeah.
A 1982 Daytona, hardly worn.
Absolutely.
It'd be $100,000 watch.
Yeah, you're getting about $100,000.
Yeah.
Like that.
You actually ended up buying a Submariner later on, didn't you? And I think it's this one, the 11460.
That's it.
The maxi case.
Yeah. After I got my my Sky Dweller, and we'll talk about that, a little bit more. But this was in 2020. I got my Sky Dweller in 2019, but in 2020, I decided, I still want to get that Submariner that I should have bought in 83, and if I had bought another watch, it would have been the sub and I would have just rotated. But believe it or not, in 1983, I'm like, who the bloody heck needs two Rolex watches? I know, we're all laughing.
If only you know now, yeah.
Like, I don't need a second Rolex. What do I need a second Rolex for? Okay. I got one, I got a Rolex. And people say, I get questions all the time on some of these question and answer sites. It's like, back then, yeah, it was a nice watch. It was a prestigious watch, but one you could get, but only if you were into watches, and not a lot of people were into watches back then. And they were bulletproof. I mean, I have a friend who bought his 1675 in 1979. I ran into him right before I retired in 2020. And I said, oh, cool, Pepsi. He goes, yeah, I got it in Yokota, Japan in 1979. Paid $700 for it. Okay. And I said, well, when was the last time you had it serviced? He goes, what do you mean? It still runs.
Yeah.
He's never, in 40 years, he had never had the watch serviced. And I said, first of all, it's probably worth $20,000 to $30,000 because it's a 1675. It's a one-owner watch, never been polished, never been serviced. And I said, you need to get it insured and take it to Bo and Eric at LA Watch Works, and they will do a very nice, sympathetic, service on it.
That's my birth year. So I don't think I'll be able to afford one of those at birth year 1675 by the sound of it.
Just talking generally, I mean, generally talking about collection strategies we might have, do we tick boxes, or do we have one type like divers or chronos that we're addicted to, or etc.? What are our collection strategies? I mean, I started off as a dive watch kind of guy, strictly divers, and I've branched out, and I've bought my El Primero, my first chronograph, and I'm looking for an Explorer 2, my first GMT, and I'm very into vintage watches and the dress watches of the 40s, Omegas. I'd love to buy like you, Curtis. I'd love to get I really appreciate the Breguet 7147, and I'd love to buy one of those.
That's a great watch.
That's my grail of the moment. And but what about yourself, the Watch Apprentice? Do you have any strategies?
Thomas, I fell into it by mistake. I fell into owning one of each, what we're talking about, like the sports watch, dress watch. I just fell into it by mistake because I found that my dress watch, which is the Cartier Santos 100, I purchased that when I was 60, and I wanted something to remember my 60th with. And then I felt to myself, you know what? I fancy owning the Rolex. Yes, what Curtis was saying about the Daytona. I would still love a Daytona, but unfortunately, it's out of my price range.
Yeah.
So I wanted to own a Rolex, and this is the God's honest truth. And I was down my local high street, and maybe Thomas, I'm saying something I've already told you before, but I was down my local high street, and there was a pawn shop, and I just happened to be walking past it. I just looked in the window, and this date just wow! It had a blue dial. In fact, sorry, it had a blue dial. It just spoke to me. And that's
beautiful.
That's the date just, and it's got a concealed clasp.
Lovely.
And that was just sitting in the window, and I looked at it, and I looked at the price, and I just didn't take no real notice. And I went home, and you know what? I couldn't get this out of my head. I just couldn't get it out of my head. I went back to the pawn shop the same day. Went into the shop and said, "Can I have a look at it?" And I said, "Well, is there any box and papers with it?" And they went, "No, there's no box and papers. That's reflected in the price." The price was okay at the time, and then I thought, "Okay, I'll just think about it. I'll think about it." And I left the shop, and as I say, I just couldn't get it out of my head. And I went back, and when I went back, the price had actually been reduced. I think they'd knocked another £250 off the price.
Wow!
And it was a price, and I'll tell you what I paid for it. I paid £4,900 for that.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I paid just under £5,000, and it was up for 6,000. No, it wasn't. Anyway, but I just couldn't get it out of my head. So that's how I come about the Rolex Datejust, and the other watches are the same. It's just that what appeals to me, you know, what really takes my eye is what I buy.
Yeah,
and
I was going to say
what makes the watches that I bought. I was
going to say what makes us buy a particular watch. Is it social media influence, friends that have them?
With me, it's just it has to speak to me, Thomas. It has to appeal to me. If that's you know, when I walk past the shop window, it's even with fashion. Thomas, even with fashion, I look at look at a model, and if they've got a nice jumper on, I go, "Well, I like that." But it's the same with watches. It has to appeal to me and catch my eye. No influences. No. I don't listen to all that. I don't listen to all that. Buy what you like and buy and wear what you like. That's
absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you, JCB? I know you're a huge chronograph guy. I mean.
Yeah, but that's exactly what Watch Apprentice said. I'll just sum it up, and it's the same thing for me. It's just what I like. What watch do I like? If I like it, I want it, and I'll buy it. You know, it's that simple, really. There's no strategy. There's no formula. There's no ticking boxes. It's like I'll just see the watch, and if it speaks to me, and if I like it, then I'll try and go for it. Really. But my brain is a little bit wide, funny, because into chronographs, because I just like the particular look of them, generally. So I that's a big part of my collection is chronographs, but it's not because I'm not out there just looking for chronographs. It's just because that's when I was a kid, My dad, he used to buy me chronographs when I was a kid. So,
Right.
it's sort of stuck in my head. Like, that's what a watch looks like. Like, it just got to have little subdials and, like that. So from a little kid growing up, that's just what I thought a watch looked like, so that's what I go for as an adult now. It's sort of stuck with me, and that's what I like. But at the same time, yeah, I like it with the GMT. I was like you, Thomas. I like divers as well because I like the bezel, and it's very functional. You can just use it to time things all the time. You can be timing your lasagna in the oven, or you can be timing how long you're going for a walk for. You just spin that little bezel. It's really practical. It's a very practical invention to use in your daily life.
I like that tool watch aesthetic of it. That sort of it's military watch, or it's built for action. It's
yeah.
Thomas,
Totally, yeah. So I've got a couple, like a lot of my cheaper watches that I take on vacation, they're divers because of that. I like to have something that looks like that has got that sort of that vintage, that military sort of look, but also it's just functional. You can it's a simple watch, no date. You can just use the bezel to time stuff. But I like that. I sort of took it a step further with the GMT because it looks like that as well. Like, it's got that diver look, but it's got the pop of color. This one on the Jubilee bracelet, I can wear it with a suit at the office. It's just a super versatile piece. Even though it's not a chronograph, this one speaks to me. I just really like the watch. So
yeah.
there's no real sort of. I don't sit there going, oh, I must have a dress watch now. I must have a GMT watch now, and I must have this and ticking off these boxes. I don't give a shit about boxes, and I don't give a shit about social media and what people are telling me I need to have in my collection. What's in my collection is what the watches that I like and that speak to me, and it's that simple, really. There's nothing else. There's nothing more or less to it. It's just, if I like it, I'll go for it.
What were you saying, Watch Princess? You wanted me to?
Yeah. Sorry, about influences. I'm going to be a little bit of a hypocrite, but what sealed it when I was looking to buy my IWC. I was listening to a stream. Alex Fotti, the Perpetual Time.
Oh yes,
gentleman.
yeah.
Alex, he was on a stream and he was talking. And I was actually looking at IWC at the time, and he happened to speak about the IWC in-house movement and how good they are, and his version and what he said sort of sealed it for me and made my mind up. Yeah, so I had a little bit of influence with the IWC regarding the movement, but that's it. Other than that, it's just as JCB said, it's just what catches my eye, and I don't listen. I don't listen to influencing on people pushing watches and things like that. It don't come into it with me. No.
Yeah, I mean, people in the chat, if you want to contribute, tell us your comments about these kind of things, please do. So, I mean, I mentioned dress watches, and I'll move on to one of yours, Curtis.
Yeah, just as far as collection strategy, I'm like JCB and Watch Apprentice. I buy what I like, but being a pilot, being a Marine in the field, as a Marine going to dress events, everything I have has a practical purpose. I'm one of those rare individuals where I'm a pilot. I have pilot watches. I was dive trained. I have some dive watches. At least twice a year, we would do a black tie event in our uniforms. And of course, at the time, all I had was my Pepsi, but it goes great with Marine dress blues that are blue and red. So that's what the boxes I tick. And if I can't wear it and use it, I don't really need it, in my watch box. And I try to wear them all. But I really, as an industrial designer, and one thing I don't know if I didn't get a chance to tell you, I had a nice conversation with ID Guy this week, and he's doing his weekly download, and so he said he might be able to pop in and join us for a little bit. But he's he's a young industrial designer, and that's how we got to be friends. Was both being industrial designers, and I have a really good sense on what I like. I don't need anybody telling me what I should like and what I don't like. And you mentioned the Breguet 7147, I believe, right?
Yeah, my grail at the moment.
That was one of my top 4 when I narrowed down. I was looking for a precious metal dress watch because I just love the aesthetic. A. Lange & Saxonia Thin, a Patek Philippe Gondolo. Those were my top 4, and this Parmigiani. And I just love, as a designer, and ID Guy did a really nice video on this. It's really tough to design a simple watch because you've got nothing to fall back on. You got 2 or 3 hands. That's it. Very minimal. So it's down to all those minute little details. And I remember seeing this Parmigiani, saying that is a really good looking watch. And then I just started, like I normally do, doing research, finding out Michel Parmigiani is, close to my age, born in 1950. He's still alive. He's still involved. And I consider this watch to be their icon. This is their Calatrava. This is their Speedmaster. This is their Submariner. This Tonda 1950. And they had some divisive designs, but this one, like JCB said, this one just spoke to me. And they were like H. Moser. They've now gotten a little bit more popular, but back in the day, they couldn't sell these watches for what they wanted to sell them for. And this is an all in-house, vertically integrated, platinum micro rotor, beautiful watch. It
really is gorgeous.
Watch.
Yeah.
So, it took 2 years of search, and like I said, the Breguet dress watch was on my list. Tried it on in Hong Kong a number of times. Loved that watch. It's a 40 millimeter, but they were all trading right around the 20 grand range, which is a lot of money. I mean, I didn't know how I was going to afford a watch, that was, 20 was kind of my limit. And, you could find some of them on the used market for less. So I just kept slowly looking and searching, and then found this one for a good price. And my wife said, no, you can't pass this up. You got to jump on this watch. So
it's a beautiful watch, kids. Another one that harks to your industrial design, your sort of appreciation of Art Deco, is this beautiful Grand Reverso 976 with it's got the open case back as well. Yeah. Which is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, you have to have the wrist to pull this one off. This is one of their bigger cases. This is like 29 by 48. So and like I said, I have 19.4 centimeter wrists, and it's 6.3 centimeter. My wrists are wide, so I can wear a good sized watch. And I remember trying on Reversos in London on Bond Street, Old Bond Street, and most of them were tiny, and that wasn't, in my aesthetic. Now, people don't realize my GMT Master 1, my Pepsi, that is only a 39.2 millimeter watch to the bezel. It's not a 40. And so I've worn most of my life, I've worn a 39 millimeter watch. And to me, that's the sweet spot. Everybody says 39 is the sweet spot. Well, I decided I want a Reverso. I just love the Art Deco movement. I fell in love with this watch years ago.
Me too.
Yeah. And at the time, I'm like, the dual face is a little expensive. It's cool. I don't want the plain case back because I'd have to have it engraved, and nothing wrong with that. But then I found the 976 has this tough industrial movement in it. It's a full balance bridge. It's double welded hairspring. It's a really tough. It's got a tool watch movement in it, and it's got a display case back. And I quickly found out it was discontinued. So this was my first foray into Chrono 24. Excuse me. So this was a Chrono 24, and luckily, the gentleman I found was in Belgium. I started corresponding with him back and forth. He had a Pepsi GMT like mine and had sold it. This was too big for his wrist, and So we had a great relationship back and forth, corresponding, kind of what you want, with Chrono 24 being the being the controller. And so I knew I wasn't, I wouldn't have to pay for the watch. And if I didn't like it, I could send it back. And the watch showed up full set, box papers, in excellent condition, never polished. And, it was a decent deal at the time, pre-owned. But like I said, it's been discontinued. And I don't believe JLC makes a display case back anymore. They have the, they've got a lot of neat watches on the Reverso side, but no display case backs. So
Yeah,
they do a dual time as well, don't they? That's a lovely
yeah. All their two face watch it's great. They've got the little pusher now on the top, and you can have 2 time zones. It's a great travel watch.
Yeah.
What's cool about the 976 is I do have a quick hour set on that. So if when I went to London or Hong Kong, I could quickly set my watch to local time without.
But what sets that reverso off for me is, you're quite right, is the Art Deco look on it.
Yeah.
That really, to me, that really sets that face off, and the watch case. Stunning.
Yeah, I like the older tributes without the Roman numerals, but I really like, not Roman numerals, but Arabic numerals. I like the Arabic numerals on this. It's to me the classic.
It's gorgeous, Curtis. I love it. Yeah, so just a couple more watches of yours. So you got any collection? You got a couple of we've seen the Glycine, which is a more lower tier one. And you got a couple of lower tier ones. You got the classic Zin 104 you appreciate, which is a bit of a pilot's watch that goes with your theme of being a pilot.
Yeah, being part German. And I really, that was the first German watch I really got into, was Zin. And I like a lot of their watches. In fact, I really like the brightening Navitimer, and I found out Zin basically made the Navitimer under license for almost a third the price. I mean, you'd pay $8,000-9,000 for a Navitimer back in the day, and you could get the Zin 903 for about $3,000. And it wasn't a ripoff or anything else. I mean, Zin bought the rights when Breitling wasn't doing well to make the Navitimer. And but I wanted something simple. I didn't need another chronograph, and I just wanted a simple, and I like the fact that this is a bidirectional timing bezel, and it's a pilot
count bezel. Yeah,
it's a count up, not count down, or count down, not count up bezel. So it's great for timing, and I just like the aesthetics. And unlike this one in the picture, mine has the Arabic numerals on it.
Yeah.
And I like a date like my Seikos. I like both the day and the date. And so I wore this a lot while flying. And let's go back to that. How many of you have a job that requires that you wear a watch? Well, airline pilots do, because in our operational specifications, it says required equipment, wristwatch with a sweep second hand.
Really? That's
so I am required by law, by my company, and by federal regulations to have a wristwatch with a sweep second hand. So it's a good excuse to buy a watch for a pilot.
And another one you got was the Marathon GSAR, the Government Search and Rescue.
Yeah.
I really like this watch. I love
it. That's a 41 millimeter, but it's really, the case is actually less. What I like about that is the government issue watch for the U.S., Canadian, and Israeli Defense Force, and a couple other militaries around the world. So that is a true government issue watch, Swiss made. I mean, this watch on the steel bracelet retails for almost $1,800.
Yeah, not too expensive though.
It is for what it is, but it is a rugged watch. I've talked to military guys that have worn this, multiple tours overseas, in the desert, in the field, beat the hell out of it. And one guy, he said, hey, I sent it back to Marathon to have it, serviced and all that. It came back like new. They have a really good rebuild service on their watches.
Were you not a pilot for government search and rescue yourself?
What's that?
Were you not a pilot for
I
government?
was, but they were not issuing this watch.
Right. Okay.
I flew helicopters. I flew Hueys and Cobras, but mostly Hueys. And I did medevac and search and rescue, but this is more for the guys in the back, the search and rescue divers.
Right.
So those guys are dive trained. These are the guys that jump out of the helicopter at night in the middle of the ocean to go rescue you. These guys have got.
Oh, you had the easier task just to fly the bloody thing.
Oh yeah, I had the easy one task to fly. They're the ones that got kicked out. I mean, think about this. You're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean at night off an aircraft carrier, and you fly out to rescue somebody, and you're jumping in the middle of the ocean, okay, alone to go rescue somebody who's scared to death. And those guys have cojones of steel. They're something else. So this came on my radar just through YouTube, and I'm like, wow, why wasn't I issued this watch? And then I found out that they do a Marine version. The Marine Corps licenses them, even though it's a government issue watch. They actually license the Marine Corps emblem on it, and Marines on the side, and the bracelet's got Marines on it. So it's a complete Marine Corps branded watch. And I said, well, as a Marine, as a SAR pilot and all that, I need a working dive watch. And I've been talking to a friend of mine to get recertified as a diver. At 68, I'm going to go start diving again, maybe. I don't know. But this is the watch I would take, my G-SAR. So let's see.
That's it.
It's a great watch. I've got it on the bracelet, and it's got the Marine Corps emblem on it. It says Marines on the side of it here, and it's got the Marine Corps emblem on the case. But it is just, it's just an ETA movement, but it's a real brutalist looking case. It's just a tank. And as a working dive watch, like I said, back in the day, my buddies wore their Submariners diving. Back in the 80s, we actually used them, okay, for what they were designed to. But anymore, nobody does, or rarely.
Even in the shower, Curtis.
Yeah, well, like I said, I showered with my GMT Master for 30 years. Never leaked.
I love the fact, Curtis, that you went from Parmigiani and things like that from the Reverso to modded SKX. Now, this is the closest I could find to a picture of yours.
Oh, that's pretty close.
SKX 007. And
yeah, so
modded SKX.
Yeah, this one has a dive bezel on it. So here I am at my local grocery store, young kid there, and I see he has this really cool looking Seiko on. So we start, nobody at the checkout stand, so we started chatting watches. And I can't remember what I had on the time, but he was really enamored. He's like, oh, that's a cool watch. I'm like, hey, yours is cool too. What is it? And it wasn't even an SKX. It was something else. He goes, I've modded it. I said, modded? He goes, yeah, there's all kinds of aftermarket companies and places that you can switch out and mod your watch. So I always kind of like the classic SKX 007. I thought the design was essentially cool. I love the case. I love the dial. I love the hands. I hated everything else. I hated the bracelet. I love Jubilee bracelets, but this, the bracelet that comes on it is crap. I didn't like the diver bezel. I didn't like the bezel insert. I didn't like the misalignment of the chapter ring. I didn't like the mineral crystal. And so I found in Singapore a company called DLW. Watches run by a guy named Darren, I believe, and he's got a buddy Derek, and Derek uses his parts and mods watches. So I emailed back and forth with him. He said, hey, Kurt, I can get you a 007 here real cheap, and then I can do all the mods and buy all the parts and then mail it off to you. And so he did. And so basically I changed and I bought a strap code Angus Jubilee bracelet, which is bloody brilliant on this watch. It's a really heavy Jubilee well made. Strapcode makes great bracelets. I got a really thick beveled sapphire crystal. I got a chapter ring with no markings on it, so no misalignment. I got a Rolex style deep sea bezel with a 12-hour bezel insert, so it's a dual time. So this was my. I always took this on the road with me. Hong Kong, London. It's waterproof, 200 meters. It's a tank. I bashed this. I'm running for something in Hong Kong. I bashed this against a steel railing and a concrete wall. And I actually put some scratches in the sapphire. Right. And then me being me, and I restore cars and car parts as a sideline. I went out and bought a little diamond polisher, and actually managed to get the scratches out of the sapphire. It can be done.
Wow.
So,
that's pretty cool.
Watch. I mean, it cost me $500 and some dollars. I mean, more than double what I paid for the watch. But it's my most, other than my Sky Dweller, it's my most worn watch because it's a tank. And with a 12-hour bezel, gives me second time zone, waterproof.
SKXs have gone up in value now. Like they're really
are. I haven't checked prices. I don't know what do you have to pay for an original SKX anymore.
Like a stock SKX will cost you about 800 Aussie, which is like yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That you used to be able to buy them all day for about $350 Aussie, something like that. The minute they discontinued them, and they brought out the Seiko 5 line.
Wow.
The 007, 009 went up to like they're basically double priced overnight.
Well, the great thing about the modding community is you can get an SKX case with a helium escape valve and drilled lug holes. And I also got an NH36 movement for it instead of 7S26. So it's hacking winding. It's got a logo crown on it, which I haven't put on, but you can basically build up a whole new SKX from parts. And it's going to cost you $600-700 max US.
The stuff that the modding community is doing in Seiko is unbelievable. Like,
it is.
They are just doing it'll blow your mind. Like, it's crazy.
They're seen
making
a couple
Speedmasters, GMTs, all sorts of stuff.
You can do a Submariner homage, okay, with Seiko parts, and it's bloody amazing, and not have to worry about wear it anywhere. Most people, heck, the watch I have, people say, is that a Rolex? I'm like, no, it's a Seiko. So you mod a Seiko to look like a Submariner. The average guy in the street is going to think it's a real Rolex, and you don't have to worry about. Maybe the thieves will think that too. So, but I'm going to be a lot more willing to give up my Seiko
for a Seiko.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you. Are there any watches you buy from brands you're not fans of? I mean, personally, me, I'm not a huge Seiko fan. I don't get it. I mean, I find that Seiko are rammed down my throats by YouTubers and social media, and like Seiko, the best watch of the year. Seiko, the best brand to get into watches with, and I'd rather buy micro brand, to be honest with you. But I mean, saying that, I would buy, because I'm not such a fan of Seiko, I would buy that Seiko 5 Mikan Orange GMT that they brought out. Another one would be, I wouldn't say I'm not a huge fan of them, but they're Batoon. I mean, they're a bit too far out for me, a bit too wacky. I love the lug system that they have, the articulated lugs, but they're just a bit too Star Trek-y space age for me, apart from one, the DB28 Digital, and some of the Starry Sky ones, which are a bit simple.
Starry Various, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, some of those ones. Are there any watches from brands that you're not fans of that you'd like?
Well, I can tell you, I was not a fan of Parmigiani, the older iterations, except for the Tonda. And I looked at the Kalpa, the rectangular ones. Bill Sanders recommended instead of my Reverso, I get the Kalpa, and I'm like, bloody hell no, that's an ugly watch. There's no way I'm buying that thing. I'm going to get the Reverso. But Parmigiani has changed recently with the new CEO. I think their new design aesthetic is much better. Yeah, that's why I bought my Tonda, because I'm like, wow, of all their watches, this thing is their icon. It's classic and all that. But yeah, I would say Parmigiani for me. I was not a fan initially of the brand. I mean, I appreciated what they were and what they did, all in-house. They make virtually everything for their watches.
Yeah.
Which I find to be very cool. But so does Seiko, so does Rolex.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big Seiko fan, to be honest. You've got Grand Seiko, King Seiko. There's so many Seikos out there, but I'm not a big fan. And I think I'm with you, Thomas. I'd rather buy a Christopher Ward, and I've and maybe, just maybe, my next watch will be a Christopher Ward. And there's a particular watch I do like that they've brought out, and but because I'll go back to what we were saying earlier about when I looked at this watch, it just looked beautiful. It really did, and it's got a white rubber strap. It's white. The bezel, sandblasted bezel. And everything is lovely to me. But
Watch Apprentice, you live near London, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Have you been to Christopher Ward showroom in London?
No, so it's in Maidenhead.
Yeah, it's not far. I mean,
it's not far from me. No, it's not far. But you have to make an appointment though.
Yeah, I made an appointment, and okay. I took the train over. It was a short ride, and spent a whole afternoon with them, and absolutely wonderful experience. They were very nice there, very intimate, small showroom. They had customers from not just they had right before me. They had an appointment with a customer from Holland or Belgium or something, and I definitely, if you're into Christopher Ward, make an appointment and get over there.
Yeah, I will, Curtis.
You'll probably end up walking out with a watch.
Yeah, most probably. But the thing is, but the price range of their watches, Curtis, I think are so reasonable.
Oh yeah.
I think they could, some of their some of their watches, I reckon they could charge just maybe a little bit more, but they're just so reasonable.
Double, for some of them. Some people do charge a lot more for.
They do.
Yeah.
But no, I will definitely.
Well, weren't they the first ones to kind of sell without a middleman? Pretty much sell direct, either through the internet.
Yeah.
And so, the old cliche, cut out the middleman. And I tell you what, you handle their watches, they're solid. They are really, I mean, it's that old adage like from Jurassic Park. Is it heavy? Yes. It's expensive. Put it down.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like titanium watches. It's not heavy enough.
Yeah. Are there any brands that you're not fans of that you buy a watch from?
I'll sum it up with a photo, actually, Thomas, and it's not. I think it's a little bit of we've got to look at that question a bit critically as well. I think it's like why do we not like brands? I think you got to ask yourself that question first, right? When I think about that, there's not really many brands that I don't really like. And if I don't like them, it's just for some stupid reason, right? Like generally with watches, like if there's something I don't like, I'm sort of indifferent to it. It's like I don't really like it. But I'll show you a picture. This is a watch that I tried on
Skipper
a couple of weeks ago. Okay, and Tag Heuer as a brand, I probably have to admit I have probably been influenced by a lot of the community when they sort of shit talk Tag and that sort of stuff, right? It's sort of over the last five-ish years, I'd say, wherever you go in forums or whatever, you always just hear the same thing. Oh, Tag Heuer is crap. Tag Heuer is crap. So I would probably have been a little bit influenced by that. But now I think you know, just
it's only their opinion, though, JCB. Remember that.
Sorry.
It's only their opinion. Remember that.
100%. But I think if you hear it enough, sometimes
take your point.
it sort of stinks a little bit, and that's what I'm saying. Like I've probably been guilty of that to some degree, unfairly towards the brand, and I'll admit that. But having gone into the boutique in Collins Street in Melbourne the other day, seeing the staff are really passionate. The sales girl really knew her stuff and was talking to me about Carrera history and all that sort of stuff. And she was like, "Oh, do you want to try the skipper on? We've got one. I'll get it out of the back for you." It was just a great experience trying the watch on. I just fell in love with the watch. It was really, really good. Great watch. So I think for me, I feel like Tag Heuer as a brand is really, they're going to come back out of the woodwork, in the next, and it'll happen soon, like 6 to 12 months. People will be talking about Tag Heuer again. I feel like I think
Frederick Arnold, the Arnold family, Frederick Arnold has certainly elevated it and brought out. He's bringing out revival watches. The old Heuer design. The old. It's
focusing on the Monaco and the Carrera. They're the two. They're sort of the two lines that Tag or Heuer was really known for in the 60s, right? That's the core of the brand, and they're focusing on those lines to bring us enthusiasts, back to Tag Heuer. And I feel like they're doing the right thing. They're speaking to enthusiasts again, and they're sort of bringing us back in. And I'm for one, I'm coming back to the brand. So I feel like Tag is going to be, that's probably, to answer your question, Thomas, in a roundabout way, is probably a watch that I would buy from a brand that, it's not that I don't like them, but it's more that I just had sort of pushed them to the side, if you like.
I dislike any watches. I love all watches.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
it's not that I don't like the brand. I don't. I'm just sorry. What I'm trying to say is that their watches just don't do nothing for me. I don't dislike any brand, because everybody's got their own taste. And for me, Seiko, all I'm saying personally is that Seiko, looking at the type of watches, just now, if you go Omega and the Aquaterra, the Aquaterra Saffron for me is a beautiful watch. But the Saffron, the Seiko models, just nothing sort of hits me. Nothing hits me.
I was going to say, are there any particular watches you dislike? For me, it's Daytona. I find that it's illegible. It's too small. It's just overhyped. Too overhyped. It's there's too much hype behind it. Way overhyped. But that's
the hype, though. That's external to the watch, though. You know what I mean? Like,
well, the Rolex themselves, they build it up. They build it up as this amazing thing,
You hate Thomas. You hate the watch because of the hype.
Yeah, I do. But also, it's too small. It's illegible, I find.
Well, yeah.
Are there any watches you dislike? Any particular individual watches?
No, I don't dislike them, Thomas. I just wouldn't buy them. I don't.
What you wouldn't buy?
I don't hate them. I don't dislike them. I don't.
What you wouldn't buy then? I'll read.
Nothing. All right. Okay. Nothing, Thomas. Nothing comes to mind at the moment. Seriously, nothing comes to mind. I'm open to everything.
For Watch Apprentice, I was never an IWC fan, and the only reason was, and there's some IWC I think are bloody brilliant. They're perpetual calendars. I mean, even JLC uses their perpetual calendar, their Klaus module on theirs, and they're great. But what turned me off on IWC was some of their low-end pilots watches were $4,000 and $5,000 with an ETA movement in it. And I'm like, talk about being lazy. You're IWC. You're an iconic watch brand. Why are you trying to charge me you know, when my Zen 104, my Marathon has the same movement in it, and it's $1,000, and you're trying to charge me $3,000 or $5,000.
But that's what Curtis. Sorry, Curtis. I'll go back to what I was saying about I was influenced by Alex Foti of Perpetual Time when he was talking about the IWC and their in-house movement.
They're in-house. No,
that's what swayed me.
Yeah,
that's what swayed me to the IWC because I'm not paying £4,000 or £5,000 for an ETA movement or a Solita. You know.
Exactly. No, I agree with you 100%. And I have a great appreciation for IWC in-house and their high-end stuff. And look at Breitling now. Breitling, you know, their B01 movements and their B02. Those are amazing chronograph movements. And the watch industry has been forced into in-house, higher quality, like JCB said about Tag Heuer. I mean, I had the same opinion of Tag Heuer, once again, influenced by people who probably don't know any better. And I like the old Heuer. I love their designs. And I agree. I think they're going to have a big resurgence here coming up very, very soon.
But I'll go back to Christopher Ward. I mean, the watch I'm looking at, they use a Solita movement, but you're only paying £765.
Exactly.
Which is, you don't mind, you know?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. One thing I don't really like, Thomas, is I'm just thinking about it now. Richard Mille, I like the watches, like technically, like, and from an innovation point of view, I respect what they do, but putting these arbitrary price tags on the watch, like 600,000 and like 300,000, they're deliberately trying to make their own niche of this really like ultra high end watch collectors, and the way they're doing it is just through price. Like they're pricing the watches that expensive. I just don't really like that as a concept. That just doesn't sit well with me. Do you know what I mean? Like I just find it like what's the word? I don't know what the word is, but it's just all about the money. You know, it's just all about, you know, trying to build up this brand which is super high end. I get it. You know, the materials and the innovation is, you know, it's good. It's not $500,000 good though. You know, it's not that
money. No. We got a good question from Bill. If Rolex made a quartz Submariner, would we buy it? Well, it would be a lot of money, so I wouldn't buy it. It would be.
Here's the thing. I love the old Rolex Oyster quartz, and look what FP Journe did with quartz. I mean, he has a high-end quartz, very innovative. And I think if Rolex did something equally as innovative with a quartz watch and reissued something with, you know, the same level of quality, you know, that would go a long way. I mean, what was their last big watch? I mean, the Sky Dweller, which I think is bloody brilliant. That interface with that ring command bezel on the Sky Dweller is the coolest thing since canned beer. It is just a great move. That's one reason I got the watch. But they really haven't done much other than, you know, I was off of the Daytona until they did the Le Mans Daytona. That thing, I think, is very cool, but no one can buy it. You know, you have to be on a select clientele list, and it's retails at over $50,000. And then who knows what it's on the secondary market? Probably, I've heard close to 200,000.
200, yeah.
Yeah, so that's not in my future in any stretch of the imagination. So I think Rolex coming out with a high-end quartz with some great innovation like FP Journe did would be amazing. And I think that would shake up the watch world. That would really, if Rolex reissued an Oyster quartz type of watch or Submariner quartz and did something really different with it, I think, you know, the watch world would be talking Rolex even more than it already does.
With me, Bill, my answer to you is if they brought out a quartz similar to something like the 1908, I think it'd make a killing.
Yeah.
Now I like the 1908. I think
I like the 1908. Yeah.
The 1908. If they made something similar to that, like a dress watch in a quartz, I think would be nice. But the other big watches, no, not really, because you, as Thomas said, they demand the price. They would demand the price, and for a quartz watch, that'd be a lot of money.
Oh,
Somebody woke up. What? Too big of a voice. Somebody woke up.
Yeah, I think quartz. The discussion about quartz, I think, is just an interesting one generally. Like it's probably something that probably we could spend a whole show talking about. I reckon. I feel like, because like quartz gets a really, really bad name. You know what I mean? Like everyone's like, that's quartz. That's a shitter. But there's nothing better than just picking up your watch and grabbing it and putting it on and walking out. And it's been sitting in your watch box for a week. You know what I mean? You don't have to set the time or the date. You can just grab your thing and go. You know, that was the, and it's accurate. You know, that was a big draw point of quartz. You know, don't forget that.
Yeah.
It was the quartz crisis. You know, they were creating accurate watches that you didn't have to wind, and we seem to have forgotten that a little bit. And so I'm getting into quartz watches. You know, I'm not getting into them, but I've got heaps of them in my watch box because I just like the convenience of having them.
Yeah,
is
JCB,
great.
You're into chronographs. I don't have a lot of quartz watches either, but I have the Bull of a Lunar Pilot.
Yeah.
And that thing, I've got the older one. I can rock a 45 millimeter case. I just tried on the new 43.5. It's not that much smaller, and it's like it's not worth getting. I have the fully polished 45, but they advertise plus or minus 10 seconds a year. Over the last 4 years, I am consistently plus 4 seconds.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's insane.
I think I paid $400 for that watch. You know, and for that,
the battery. Sorry, we were talking. Sorry.
I mean, Seiko has their 9S quartz that's 10 seconds a year, and it's $2,000-$3,000. The Bulova is the same accuracy and even better, and it's $500.
I think the thing is, then Thomas sort of mentioned that before, I think, with the Rolex and the price, that the question that we will always come back to is how much money would you spend on a quartz watch? You know, what's the limit? I think, and I've always had this conundrum when I'm looking at the Breitling aerospace watches, because I really love those watches, right? Yeah. But they're freaking expensive. You know, they're still, 3,000, 4,000 Australian dollars. And I'm just not sure I can't jump that hurdle in my brain to pay that much money for a quartz watch, even though it's all the thermocompensated and blah, 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 all that marketing crap. I'm just not sure if the watch was maybe $1,500, sure, maybe I can spend that much on a quartz. That's fine. But spending, I think with quartz, it's a sort of a, how much are you willing to spend on a quartz watch is the question that you get to, I think. Hey, Orange, man.
Good to see you.
It's with me, JC, but I've got a G-Shock, and it's like it was £100, and it's like a 7-year battery life, So for 7 years, I ain't got, it just, as you say, you just put it on and go away.
I mean, there's a 9F quartz by Grand Seiko, which goes for about £2,500. There's the Citizen quartz, high-end quartz, which goes for about the same price. I mean, good quartz can go for expensive prices. I mean, you're right, JCB. And then the aerospace, which goes for
what's
about...
What's the FB Journe watch go for? 20,000, right?
The Elephant is about 18,000, I think. 20,000,
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I wanted to turn the question on the head and say, do we have a favorite brand?
Oh. Can I just jump in? I'll just quickly say this. I think if I think of all the brands, I reckon for me it's MB&F. And the reason I say that is because I just love what they do. I just love their the philosophy of collaborating with all of the best people in the industry to come up with these crazy designs, stuff that no one's doing. I just love what Max Buser does. I love how they do it. And they come up with just these crazy watches that are just out there. I just love everything they do, really, as a brand. And I think that's probably my favorite one.
Yeah.
I can't pick one. It's like women.
with
What do you
me,
like
it's-
best? Blondes, brunettes, or redheads? It's like too many women, not enough time. Too many great watches, not enough time nor money.
Yeah. No,
100%.
it's the one. It's the one that treats me well, Curtis.
Yes.
That's for me.
Have you got a favorite brand to watch, Princess?
Yes, Langer and Sunne.
Liger.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great brand.
They're
yeah,
great.
Langer and Sunne.
Yeah.
The Saxonia is
Amazing.
the watch. If I ever if I purchase one, next one I'd like to get a Saxonia.
Lovely.
I got a chance to try on the Odysseus with the blue dial at my
Wow.
local boutique.
Wow.
And as much as I didn't really like the integrated bracelet look on that watch in photos, on the wrist, and if you go to my Instagram, I have a picture of it on the wrist. It is an amazing watch. But I have a good relationship with that boutique here locally, but they're not going to sell me that watch. It's you got to buy a lot of more. You got to spend a lot of money on precious metal watches to get in the queue for that one.
It's funny, you guys. Just yesterday, I was listening to Ben Clymer's interview with the CEO of Langer. It's a really good listen if you want to get in the mind space of how they think and what they're doing with things like that, like the boutiques, their distribution, their customer waiting lists, how they vet their customers and all that sort of stuff. So if you're into that, just search up Hodinkie's interview with Langer. It was a really good
Thanks,
listen.
mate. I'll have a look.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thomas, that's a great shot. That's one of my favorite Pateks.
These are some of your favorite watches, weren't they? Curtis? The
Yeah, I
Gondor.
love that watch. I almost got that instead of my Parmigiani.
Yeah, there's this one, and then there's a couple more that you really liked.
Well, you know what? If I got one more watch, what it would be, I don't have a world timer. And I think world timers are amazing. And believe it or not, Gerard Perregaux,
I'm going to bring that up.
Your 1966 WWTC, Worldwide Time Control. That is an amazing watch.
Now, tell us a story about this. This is the
so anyway,
it's now going for £147,000.
I know. I walked. This was my favorite. This was my Grail watch for a while when I first got it. Went down the rabbit hole. So in 2019, I was in New York City, and my wife gave me a whole day to look at watches. And so I went to all the boutiques, and I spent about an hour at A. Lange & Söhne, spent about an hour at JLC, and then I walked into FP Journe, and really nice young sales guy there. And I said, well, he goes, anything you want to see? And I said, well, yes, but I think it's discontinued. I doubt you have one. And I said, do you have the Centigraph Silveron? And he smiled and said, wait here. He walks downstairs and brings this exact watch up, the silver dial. And I was just tried it on, absolutely smitten with it. At the time, it was my Grail watch. And I believe he quoted me a price of $63,000 US.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh. And I looked at my wife, and my wife shrugged her shoulders and said, you want to pull the money out of your retirement, go ahead and do it. And I was like, that's a lot of money. Plus, New York tax is 8%. So 8% on top of 63. And, I probably could have gotten the watch had I wanted it. And I'm glad I didn't, because 2 weeks later, I walked into the Rolex AD in Hong Kong and bought my Sky Dweller on the spot.
Yeah.
In fact, I walked into the AD and I said, I'm looking for a Sky Dweller. She goes, well, there's 100 people on the list. However, we just got this black dial two-tone in an hour ago, and it won't be here in another hour. Do you want it?
Yeah.
Yes.
this is triple the price. But as you say, you saw this years ago and wanted to buy one, but it allowed you to get the Submariner, the Parmigiani, and the Sky Dweller.
Yeah, I got my Subby, my Sky Dweller, and the Parmigiani for half the price of this watch, and I'm happier with those three.
Yeah,
Then I mean, this would have been a really cool watch to have, and that's probably would be the only watch I had besides my Pepsi GMD and my and maybe my Speedmaster. But I don't regret not buying it. It's a cool watch. I had a chance to buy it. It's a great story, but no looking back.
So you say you love.
Sorry, Thomas. Before we go, do you have a favorite brand, Thomas?
Me, Breguet definitely has to be.
Yeah.
I'm just obsessed with the traditions. Yeah,
they're pretty good, aren't they? Yeah.
So here's that Gerard Perregaux. That's just a very simple, gorgeous world time.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's I don't like maps on world times, and this one is very legible. And what's great about it, I mean, at a glance, 24 time zones. I mean, it beats a GMT, by a factor of 8. So
that's not a huge thing. It's looks like it's, I don't know, 39 or something like that.
It's I believe it's a 39 or 40 millimeter watch. The rose gold ones are nice. They're about 20. You can get them used for around the low 20s, but the steel ones are the deal. They're under 10. I think they were new about 12, and now you can get them pre-owned in condition 0, brand new box and papers for right around 9 or 10,000 US. Still a lot of money. And since I'm not really traveling like I used to, it would just be a watch collector purchase, but that's
You say you're a big fan of world times because of your traveling past, and there's a couple more which I'm going to bring up, which you said you were a fan of. You said you like this LUC Chopard one.
Yeah, we have a very nice Chopard boutique here locally. And their head guy there took a liking to me and my buddy, and when we first went in about 4 or 5 years ago, he pulled out their 14 complication amazing high-end watch. It's I think at the time it was $400,000 or $500,000. And he graciously pulled it out of the safe and let me actually put it on his wrist. So LUC is different from regular Chopard. It's their high end, and they make some very nice watches. And this is the only other one that's kind of on, but this is a little bit too cluttered of a dial. But it's still a great watch, a great, great movement, a great high horology watch that's not on a lot of people's radars.
And you said your Grail watch was this one, which I'll just pull up. The
Patek. Yeah. This is as a pilot, the two most important complications for me, both tactically and as an international guy, were a dual time zone or GMT or world time and a chronograph. So this gives you both. It is, I do have an appreciation for Patek Philippe, Holy Trinity. They make great watches, but I don't have a platinum watch. So, this would be an attainable Grail. I got a question for you. Money is no object. What is your Grail watch?
Oh, I knew that was coming, Curtis. Oh, thank you. Money no object.
I'll give you time to think.
Well, I mean, I love the Langer Zeitwerk. I love that.
Yes.
Absolutely love it. I love the Breguet 7147, which I'll just pull up. Which you nearly got instead of your Parmigiani.
Yeah. That's a beautiful watch.
This
The
would be
one I really won was the 5175, which is basically the center second hand version in the blue dial of that watch, but they only made it for the Japan domestic market. And they only made 10 of them.
Ginza version, the blue dial. Yeah.
And I quickly found out that, I'm not going to get that watch. It's too rare. But I look at it as a Grail watch of, have they ever found the original Holy Grail? No. So I look at the Grail watch the same way. I'm never going to get one, but it could be conceivably possible. So anyway, JCB, what's your Grail watch?
Pretty easy for me. It's a Patek 5970p black dial. So that's a perpetual calendar chronograph.
Yeah, that's a great choice.
Not the current. The current version is the 5270. I like the one previous to that, the 5970. Yeah, just a all-round killer. Yeah, I love that one.
Well, my absolute
something you mentioned before. Sorry to cut you off. You mentioned before that you like wheel timers and chronographs as a pilot. One of the questions that I was going to ask you before, as we were talking, was, did you ever like any pilot chronographs? Like, did you ever get into like the Navitimers or the Type 20s and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I was a huge Navitimer fan for years. Thought the watch was just way cool. I grew up in school before calculators, so I actually had a slide rule.
Oh,
right. Okay. Yeah, cool.
So I know how to use, or at least I did know how to use a slide rule. I always thought the Navitimer was cool.
Cool.
If I ever got a Navitimer, it would be the new 806 reissue from 1959. I think that is a great reissue.
Cool.
I mean, I too love chronographs. I just don't see the need. I have my Bulova, which sits in my watch box. I wear it, but I love the fact that I can set all my watches off of my Bulova because it's typically, reset at every daylight savings time. So it's never more than 2 seconds fast a day.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
It's that accurate. And so I can set all my watches in my watch box off that one watch. Speaking of grails, okay. So my absolute grail is the Philippe Dufour Simplicity rose gold 37 millimeters with the Roman numerals. Okay. But
nice.
Even if you had the $1 million to buy one, you're not going to get one unless you're very well connected. So that is my absolute grail. I'm never going to get it. But I think that is just,
I mean,
if you're going to dream big.
Well, another one for me was the. Let me just pull that up.
Daytona, Thomas?
No. No, just share it. The one that won the Horological Revelation Prize this year.
Independent?
Simon Brett's Chronometer Artisan.
Wow.
That's not
that thing is nuts. That's crazy.
That is nice.
Yeah, that one just blew my mind when I tried it on. I saw in I saw
Thomas,
that.
I thought you might be a Voutilainen man.
Yeah, I am a Voutilainen man. I can share some more of those.
Have you guys ever seen the Etienne Schwartz Etienne with Kerry Voutilainen collaboration? Amazing watch, and they were reasonably priced for what they were.
I'm sure I've seen it. I can't recall it off the top of my head, but I would have seen that one for sure.
Yeah, I know Watchbox had a couple of them. The Schwartz Etienne with the Kerry Voutilainen collaboration, and I believe they're steel.
The Van Wheat here, the Voutilainen Van Wheat, beautiful watch, stunning, 70,000, 7-year waiting list for one of these now. Gorgeous. The Vutsalainen World Time GMT. Sorry, not World Time. 300,000 Swiss francs, I believe, if I'm correct. Yeah, absolutely insane money. Spring-loaded crown to help it work. Just amazing. This is fantasy stuff.
Yes.
Absolutely fantasy stuff. Yeah.
This is what keeps me in the hobby is just look. I just love looking at these watches I can never afford, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I appreciate them for what they are. It's high art. It's absolute artistry.
So
you got a dream.
What would you like for Christmas watch wise? Is there anything you'd like? Watch box, tools for doing DIY, or what a service on your watch? Have you got anything, JCB?
Not really. I mean, I've got everything pretty much covered, like in terms of all the stuff that I use. I mean, I don't really use that much, to be honest. I got a couple of cod cloths and, you know, a few cloths here and there. I don't really tend to mess around with my watches too much. I've got watch boxes now. I've got a nice winder that I use, actually. That's come in really handy. Someone gave me that a few years ago. I've got a 2-watch winder. I wouldn't mind a 3-watch winder. That'd be pretty cool. But no, I'm pretty cool. I just want the watch. I just want the Speedy, and that's I'll be happy with that. So yeah, yeah, nothing really.
You watch, Prentice? Have you got anything you'd like for Christmas watch wise?
Not watch wise, Thomas, but my what I would like to do would spend a day with a watchmaker.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
I would love to spend a day with a watchmaker. So if Rebecca Struthers is watching, and I know she is, just reach out to me. Reach out to me, Rebecca, and I can. Yeah, seriously, that's what I'd love to do. Spend a day with her. Watch someone service a watch.
So, Watch Apprentice, did you go on the channels like Naked Watchmaker and Wristwatch Revival?
Yes, sir.
I do. I sit there for hours and watch people service watches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How good is
Chronoglide is one I watch, and Wristwatch Revival.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
How good that
absolutely fantastic.
And he's not even a professional. He's an amateur.
Yes, he is. Yeah,
it's amazing.
And he learned Curtis by going online. There's a guy online that does. He's a watchmaker that does tutorials.
Oh, really?
And he bought the videos. Yes, he bought.
That's amazing. I think he does he just did a very rare Rolex GMT, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, that was his latest one, wasn't it?
You're not even a pro. I mean, this is a very expensive watch, and I thought he did a very good job on it.
Fantastic. And Chronoglide as well. He does vintage. He does vintage watches. A guy.
It's funny. Every year, my wife and I, we have a tradition. We watch Band of Brothers, the HBO miniseries about World War II, and so recently I've been tracking the A11 series watches that were worn by the U.S. military, and there's a new company called Time Worn that's putting out a absolute spot on copy. I mean, it's chrome plated brass case. I believe it's got a seagull movement in it, but it's an exact reproduction of those watches. They're under $300, but the problem is they're 32 millimeters, original size. So,
I mean, I'd love for Christmas. I'd love to call for my Polar Explorer, but that's not going to happen. But I mean, can't think of much else. I'd like to get. I'd like to get a watch service. That'd be a nice gift. Get a watch service. But it's just you had a box. Could you be in that picture, JCB? Of the box.
Oh yeah.
This is what you want, isn't it, Curtis? We've got a box.
I've been looking at N&N. November in St. Petersburg, Russia, make beautiful watch boxes and custom. They have standard and they do custom work, but they're pretty expensive. $700 Yeah, about $700 for a 10 watch box. Well, yeah, the lower left here, the walnut with the green, 10 watch. That's the one I've got my eye on. Right.
That's nice.
Yeah, I mean,
how did you come across these guys?
I think it's Peter Katza and somebody
Oh,
else.
yep.
Two guys.
He's an
Peter,
Aussie guy.
yeah, Peter did he's got a great YouTube channel. He's
good.
a video guy and he's a camera guy and is 4K and he's very high end. I believe he's an Aussie, JCB.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's from Melbourne, I think.
Yeah, I like his channel, and he did a review on their watch box, and somebody else did one. It might have been the Time Teller or somebody else. And so that's how I discovered them. Went on their website, actually talked to them, and because of the whole political thing, I can't get one in the U.S. right now. But hopefully, when they'll open up, and they're actually a little bit London company. Watch Rapport, I think, makes a very nice box.
Yes,
but they're even more expensive, and I prefer these ones out of Russia.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, very, very nice watches. But do I really need it? No. I've got a nice Pelican case, and the watches are in my vault anyway. So
I keep a couple of my watches in the old pouches, the old cased in type.
Oh, those are nice. Yeah.
Just
well,
that's what I use when I traveled.
Just keep it inside.
You were saying the Watch Apprentice of Christmas you'd like to do watch servicing course. I was going to ask you, how often do we honestly get our watches serviced, and do we wait until they stop, or do we wait until we can afford it?
With me, it's the latter, Thomas. The thing is, Thomas, this is mate. You go and spend £10,000-11,000 on a watch, and wait till you can afford to have it serviced. So it's a little bit weird, isn't it? It's like, as I say, you're spending all that money to buy the watch, but you sort of like can't keep it serviced. I mean, hopefully I won't need it serviced for about 2 or 3 years, but really you should do it every 3 years, every 4 years. But you're quite right. People don't normally.
I disagree. I disagree. When I got my Pepsi Watch Apprentice, Rolex recommended every 2 years.
Wow,
which was stupid. And at 2 years I brought it in because I believe in servicing. I've talked to my independent Rolex watchmakers, and they're like, Kurt, Rolex says 10 years, go 10 years. If it's still running good after 10 years, don't bring it in.
Oh, wow.
And these are European trained, Rolex trained guys, independent. I have 3 guys I know and trust here locally, and they all say the same thing. If it's not running bad, I mean, you buy a Rolex, and most of my friends that have Rolex watches have had them for 20 years, and they still haven't had them serviced, and they're still running fine. Now, 20 years is about the limit, I think.
Yeah. For me, the question is, how badly is it running? Like, is it 10 seconds out? Is it 20 seconds out? Like, it's just sort of like how much do I want to deal with in terms of inaccuracy, and then I'll get it serviced. Like, my Breitling at the moment's running, like, it's not running in COSC, but it's probably, I don't know, maybe negative 10 seconds a day. And I can deal with that, It's sort of staying steady at that negative 10, and it's not getting worse. So if it gets to, say, negative 20, then I might, that might be time to get it serviced. Like, it sort of depends on how bad it is, I reckon. That's my feeling.
I recently recommended to a guy because he asked me the same question. I said, Rolex is amazing, 5-year warranty, 10-year service interval. And I said, if you buy a new Rolex and if it's, at 7 or 8 years, if it's running poorly, have it serviced. But if it's not, and if it's still running, COSC at 10 years, I wouldn't bother. And then, the great thing about my original Pepsi is the only reason it's got its original hands and dial and everything else on it is I've never taken it to Rolex. I've always had independent guys who returned all my parts.
Yeah.
So I don't have a service dial. I don't have service hands. And the problem with the older Rolex watches and any older watch is that tritium lume in the hands starts to flake out. Well, what's the good of having a watch serviced and leaving your original hands in if the tritium's coming out? It's only going to get in the movement and gunk it up. And that's the last time I had my watch serviced. He goes, listen, Kurt, I just serviced your watch, but do you want a new set of service hands put on? And I'm like, no, let's just wait. He goes, well, your tritium is coming out. And so LA Watchworks took my original hands, took the old tritium out, color matched it to new, but it's not lume. See, the lume on my dials on my 40-year-old Pepsi is dead. It died years ago. Okay. So the lume is dead anyway. And so he puts in a color matched lume in the hands, but it's not lume. It's dead too, but it's color matched to the same. But so it's my original hands with just new, instead of taking the tritium out and leaving them, slots in there, he puts in a color match to match my dial. And so everybody that looks at the watch can't tell if they're not the original hands. And like I said, after 40 years, your tritium will start to disintegrate and it will start to flake out. And I see these vintage Rolexes, and there's gaps in the hands where the tritium's coming out. And I'm like, that's not doing your movement any good, because that's got no place to go but into the gears.
Yeah.
So
common,
that's where common sense watch servicing comes in, and having a good watchmaker who will listen to you, do what you need to do. And, like I said, because Rolex will that just pisses me off that Rolex will keep your old parts.
So I was going to say, right, if you're getting a vintage watch serviced, and you get your parts back, you get your dial, you get your hands, you get everything, then I don't see the problem putting in a service dial, putting in service hands.
I agree.
Like you should do that.
Yeah,
you should do that.
No,
like
I agree.
And then you just keep all your old stuff for the guy who's a fucking vintage collector who's like, I want all the old shit, and you've got it there.
I've got my watchmaker told me early on, with an acrylic crystal, just change your crystal every service. So I've had literally 4 acrylic crystals in my Pepsi.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, he goes, it's the only way to maintain its water resistance. You got to put a new acrylic crystal in. But I have the old ones. I'm on my 3rd bezel insert because that red fades, but I've got the other 2 in my watch box.
Yeah, that's it.
I've been offered $2,000 for my original bezel insert. It's crazy.
Are there any favorite watches that have been released this year? I'm gonna put a link to ID Guy's video, the great video that he did with best releases this year. I mean, we've had the Swatch Blancpain collaboration, we've had the Omega Summer Blue, the Porsche Design Chrono 1, the Longines Spirit, the Breguet Type 20s with the military version, the Glacé Sensor Chrono, the Seiko 62 Mass, the Seiko 5 Bruce Lee, Longines Legend Diver 39, the Glass Box, the Skipper by Tag, the PRX 36, the Zenith Pilot, the Grand Seiko Tentograph, Rolex did the Celebration, the Puzzle Day Date, the New Daytona, the Guinness GMT, the 1908, Tudor did the Blackbone Jubilee, the Opaline GMT, the FXD Red Bull, the Reverso Chronograph, the IWC Ingenieur. I mean, there's a whole host to pick from. Have you had any favorites this year?
The official name, I believe, from Rolex is the Zombie, isn't it? The Guinness. I think Rolex have officially called it the Zombie.
Really?
The Zombie.
Yeah, it's called the Zombie. The Guinness. Yeah, I think on their website, I think it's called the Zombie, but it's
really?
That's pretty. I'm sure I see it somewhere that it's been renamed the Zombie, and that's by Rolex. But No, the
So
Guinness for me.
saying a celebration dial for him, 100%.
Yeah, that's a lovely dial. But the Guinness GMT for me.
Yeah, Guinness
Beautiful.
GMT.
Oh,
Stunning.
okay. The Guinness GMT. Yeah, that's a nice watch. I agree.
Yeah.
Now I know what you're trying. I didn't realize they call it the zombie.
Yeah, I'm sure they've called it the zombie now, Curtis.
Okay.
Well, that's not 100%.
Yeah, it's a beautiful watch.
For me,
For
I
me,
think
it's
it was.
sorry, go on, Thomas.
For me, I think it was the Simon Brett that I showed earlier on.
That was lovely, Thomas. Yeah,
that was just mind-blowing, stunning.
Yeah, those killer watch.
That I think it has to be the Skipper. I think that's a great watch. I think
Super cool watch.
the Tudor Red Bull Alinghi chronograph was gorgeous as well. I thought that was really nice. And the Rolex 1908, I really like that. I really like that. Really nice watch.
yeah, that's another nice watch. Yeah.
Where are you, JCB? Any favorites?
Yeah, the JLC, the JLC chronograph reverso. That's an amazing watch. There's so many things I love about it, but I think what's really cool about it is that the way that they've done the watch, like on one side, you've got this totally, subdued, almost boring sort of, three-hander dial, and then you flip it over, and then you've got this totally manic, skeletonized chronograph. It's a real Jekyll and Hyde piece. It's just JLC at their best in terms of watchmaking. They're always sort of at their best, really. But to me, that watch just killed it, man. They just totally nailed that watch. It was awesome. Also, the GPHG chronograph, that was that skeleton mono pusher from what was the name of those guys? Those two guys that came out with that GPHG.
Grunfeld chronograph.
No, not that one. It was the hang on, I'll pull it up in a sec. Hang on. It was just give me 1 sec.
That was another one though, which I thought was amazing. The Grunfeld chronograph. I love that one.
I'll have to get just keep talking and I'll find it.
Sure.
Well, I agree with JCB. The reverso, everything he said, I agree with. The reverso is why. And then Thomas, I'm going to piss you off. The Le Mans Daytona display case back.
Yeah.
I've been a big Le Mans fan. My Austin Healey has a Le Mans connection, and so I just think the subtle changes they made with that is just amazing. And I said, even though I'm not going to get either watch, I think the fact that Rolex has finally realized they need to put display case backs on some of their watches.
And a big congratulations to Marcelo Time for getting one of those.
Good luck to him.
Huge congratulations, Marcelo.
Yeah.
Did he score one of those?
Yeah, he got one.
Yeah, he got one. Yeah, he's a fan.
That was it. The Peterman Badat.
Won the GPHG.
Wow.
Yeah, this one, the GPHG chrono. It's a Rattrapant skeletonized chrono. Absolute banger of a watch, man. Love that piece. Yeah, it's a real cool piece.
Yeah.
Are there any watches you'd like to see re-released? I mean, things like the Tag Heuer 2000, Porsche Design Ocean 2000, the colored OPs that Rolex did, the Omega Tintin Speedmaster, the Cartier Roadster, the Tudor Big Block, Seiko Memo Diary with the keyboard, the Tudor Sub, the Seiko TV watch, Casio TV remote, Rolex Coke, Cellini Prince, Parmigiani Calpa. I know you're not a fan of that, Curtis. The JLC Navy SEALs Master Compressor Diving Alarm. I mean, the list goes on. I mean,
Yeah.
anything you'd like to see reissued?
For me personally, I'm not really up with all, I say all the watches there's so many watches out there now, so we want to keep on flooding it with more watches to be released. But I mean, there's talk about now that it's just rumors, I know, but the Pepsi being discontinued next year, but that's something we maybe have to wait and see. I don't know whether it'll happen.
That's silly. I think that's silly rumors. I don't see that happening.
No,
they say they can't make it, but they've been making it in the blue.
Yeah,
and the red.
but I think they said they had problems with. Did they have problems with the red on the bezel? Didn't they integrate in the red with the blue on the bezel? They was having it was the red wasn't coming out how they wanted it, and they was having trouble. So, but there's I think there's so many people that are wanting them. Why would they discontinue something that's in demand?
I don't see. I think that.
But they're marketing geniuses. Yeah. They're marketing geniuses. They can do whatever they want to do, and they'll make the right call.
Well, here's my pick. Here's my pick. Since Universal Genève is coming back, I would love to see a reissue of the Pole Router.
Yeah, you're
right. One of the most iconic watches of all time.
Hang on, watch. Yeah, I think that'd be a lovely one. Lovely one.
Well, it's on the cards, really, isn't it? You think they'd have to come out with something?
Yeah, if they're going to bring Universal Genève back, I'm pretty certain that it's going to be a new Pole Router.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to piss you off, and just to piss Thomas off again. I just love this watch, and they've sort of done it with the Le Mans, but big red. If they just pulled this off in a 40 mil, this would be the watch, man. It's so cool. Love this piece.
Yeah, AMG's got a good pick with the Tudor Submariner. That'd be a huge hit. And Junior John saying he'd like to see a 40mm stainless steel no date 50 fathoms.
Well, you know what? That's one of my favorite watches. It's a Hodinkee 40mm reissue. 50
yes, yeah.
And they took Blancpain off the side. They took the date off. That Hodinkee reissue, but it's limited edition, and it's $20,000 on the pre-owned market if you can find one. But yeah, that they do make. Why Blancpain won't make a 40mm 50 fathoms?
I love the Barracuda. The Barracuda I thought was great. Bill's trolling us again. He thinks that purple will be the color for Rolex, which they've already done the grape, the dark grape, but I don't know. Good to see you, Young Excellency. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. Take care. Merry Christmas,
my friend. What was saying? Mason One. Love to see him re-release the 903. I think that was the Navitimer. Discontinued time last year. This year.
I'm gonna beg out for a second. I'll be back.
Okay.
This guy needs a quick walk.
Cool. Just trying to think.
Let's see what's Chili Badger saying. He loved the orange style. They call it the yellow Aquaterra Chronometer Unisex yellow. Lovely dial. So yeah. I'll just drop a link to ID guys this video. This is just been dropped. The one on the Tudor Snowflake hand. And is it
oh yeah, Snowflake hand?
Is it one that everybody hates? Is it the thing that everybody hates about modern Tudor watches? So just plug off good friend ID guy, and that's his latest drop. But I think we've had a great discussion, guys. I think we've had a good one.
Yeah. Oh, well, as always, yeah, it was a good one. I might leave you. I might leave you guys. Say goodbye to Curtis for me. When he comes back. Have a great
Merry Christmas to you, JCB.
Yeah,
You take care. Happy New Year.
Joining us.
Yeah, same to you. Have a great time, and
Curtis is coming back.
Curtis is just coming back.
I think. Are you going to end this stream now, Thomas?
Just to let everybody know, it's still dark here in San Diego.
We're gonna wrap it up now, Curtis. You can get back to bed and have a little nap. And thanks so much for joining us. It's been a great show.
Thank you.
Yes.
And thank you so much.
Christmas.
Thank you so much for joining us.
New Year.
Hopefully, with the time. Maybe with the time zones next year, we can catch up a bit more, mate. If you want to jump on and join us, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Take care. Merry Christmas,
everyone. Thank you for your well wishes, and have a brilliant 2024. And thank you so much, guys. Been great.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for joining us, Curtis. Early hours in the morning. And thank you later night, JCB. Great to see you.
My pleasure, mate. Yeah, look forward to catching up next year and doing some more chats. And
definitely,
keeping it going.
So, take care, everyone. Have a good Christmas, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Thomas. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye.